I'm here with one of the Daily Creating Group members, Sheena Oxer. And Sheena comes from a background of being in the science field, a scientist. And she has done creativity in her life, but over the past few years, she hasn't played with it quite as much as she might have wanted. And she's recently jumped into the Daily Creating Group and has been very inspired by what she sees. And we just want to have a little conversation about what's going on with her and her creativity and the amazing stuff that's possible. So hi, Sheena.
Hello, Terry. Hi. It's lovely to be here with you.
It's lovely to be with you too. So we were talking a little bit about this before we came on this call about a recent experience of yours with your creativity around the mystical creature prompt.
Yes, the mythical creatures that, my daughter put these prompts, or asked me to put the prompts, and Terry very kindly put them online. And so I kind of had this additional, I have to do them kind of thinking about it. And I had a couple of minutes because my Monday was very busy. And I sat down, I had 2 minutes. And I thought, well, I'll just do a quick something because I really wanted to, show my support and show up. And I did it, and I thought, it's absolutely awful. And I showed it to my husband, and he was like, you cannot put that on. And then so I tried again, and it was equally as bad. And I thought we had a good laugh about it, and I didn't share it. And instead of sharing mine, I shared my daughter's very beautiful unicorn.
So I'm wondering, because you have shared it with me now, and I thought it was absolutely adorable. Aww. And I described to you about my own experience with that type of thing, where I've been creating something and just hated it. Like the more I went with it, the worse I hated it. And then I would go ahead and make another one. And usually that felt even worse than the first one. But that I shared it because I feel as though even sharing that it's creative, and it's helping others to be okay with whatever comes through when we're creating. So I wonder about your feeling about that, or your thoughts about that.
Yeah, I'm really happy to share it because it feels like I'm sharing it knowing that everybody thinks it's not my best piece of work. I just showed up. I did what I thought was I had 2 minutes. I did something. And that's what this is all about, isn't it, Terry? It's about, really just trying. And I've been quite surprised at, having not done art for a very long time. I've been quite surprised that if I just, have an idea and make the space. And I think that's, also you've been very encouraging in the group, and also personally, just to kind of sit down and see what comes. And I have been really surprised. So when I sat down and this monstrosity came, I shall reach for it, I was quite surprised. So that was my first one that I did.
And I love it. I just need you to know, I love it.
Pretty hideous. It was my mythical creature. So I went away and I tried again.
Very cool.
One. So I've been sharing things that have been, to my mind, okay, and I've just enjoyed, pushing the paint around or something. But there was lots of judgment about those ones. Lots of judgment came up as like, I cannot possibly share them. They're just too hideous. But actually, it feels okay to share them now.
Very cool.
Yeah, it does. And I guess my thinking around it's just changed somehow. And I think, well, okay, I'm quite happy for other people to see. And also, it might encourage people, if they're watching this, to just have a go. That it's not about doing something that's really polished and, something that you really want people to critique, because this is not a critiquing group, is it? It's just something that we enjoy doing, that we can sit down and think, oh, I've done something today, and I did those, and I didn't throw them away. Look, they're not in a scrunched up ball. I kept them for some reason.
I like to remind myself of this, that really this group is about the celebrating of creativity itself, and not so much about the outcome. Sometimes we love the outcome, sometimes we despise the outcome. And either way, what I do notice is that particularly in this group, there's so much care and encouragement and celebration of the creative act itself that what comes through is, I mean, I really can't tell you how many times I've hated what I've done and posted it, and other people have thought it was amazing. It just astounds me all the time, to the point where I don't really, any thoughts I have about evaluating my work as being crap or not, I basically just, oh, isn't that interesting what just went through?
Yeah.
You know, sometimes I get caught in it, but more often than not now I go, I can't trust that. I mean, that doesn't mean anything, because back in the day, I did that to all my work. There was nothing that was good enough.
Yes, and I think that's for me what's happening is that the sort of seeking for perfection thing, and the kind of idea that there is a perfect way of producing something is falling away, that you can just sit down and just see what comes. You know, I've sat down and thought, well, I've no idea, I'll just start, and then something's happened. And other times I'll have such an idea of what I want to do, I'll be planning it for a couple of days before, and then you know, I've no idea whether it's going to work out or not, but you know, I kind of enjoy the thinking about it and, oh, what shall I do? And then for example, the Polaroids one that I did, I was up at my allotment and I took some pictures of the allotment and then came back and copied them. But that was just, you know, there was no pressure with it. I felt no kind of, oh, I've got to show up and I've got to do this really well. I think the group is just, like you say, it's so encouraging and it's so inclusive. And I would encourage anybody out there who's thinking, oh, shall I start, to just start, because there's no kind of idea, well, if you start, you have to keep doing it every single day. It's just really fluid. What I've noticed, people put two prompts together in one, or they miss a few days, or there's no kind of, well, I'm sorry, you haven't posted today, so you're off the group, you know. It's just very, very lovely and relaxed. Yeah.
It's almost as if, for me, it's a daily invitation that some days you don't accept the invitation, but the creativity is always there. It's showing up for it. Oftentimes, even in the smallest amount of time, that's when the most amazing things happen, because we don't have enough time to think about it.
Yeah.
We're just playing with something. And, you know, I like to encourage myself and others to do, you know, even blobs. You can draw a blob, paint a blob, and do something on a blob. Blobs make perfect cats, always. So, yes. And the other thing you were talking about earlier is that you hadn't created for the last few days or posted anything. And when we started talking a little deeper about it, the fact is you'd been very creative the last few days. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes, I haven't posted in the last few days because I've been in my children's school doing some costume. They're doing the Lion King, and we've been making costumes and glue gunning bits of fur onto t-shirts and making hyena and lionesses and putting details on masks and painting scenery. So it's been very, very creative, and I've spent most of today there and all of yesterday. And so yeah, it's been really lovely. And I was showing up in a different way again, because it just feels very playful to be, you know, I had this in my mind before that, you know, there's a right way to do it, and they just kind of throw resources at you in the school and say, right, create something. And I'm just looking at these resources thinking, oh my gosh, what would I do with that? But it's, you know, oh, should we do this? And oh, should we do that? And all these ideas that are coming, and they're very in the moment, they're very creative. But I know that in the past it would have been, oh, well, I could do that, but it might not look good. And, you know, and then I'd have to check it out with someone else, and then check it out with someone else just to kind of get it right, you know, get it right. Whereas, you know, with this, you kind of look at a thing and make it up, and it's really, really, it's kind of free flowing, and it's different for me because I'm very much a perfectionist, you know, but massive blobs of glue and sticking things on, thinking the overall picture is going to be really great. Actually, I think the children are going to look fantastic.
That's awesome. And, you know, I'm sure there are a lot of people here that could relate to the idea of perfectionism.
Yes, I think
comes with a lot of us with our art.
Yes, and I think in life, we're told that we need to know, we need to sort of do things properly. But I think with art itself, I have done something for the last, well, in the last 20 years, in so much as I have produced a couple of pieces of artwork, but that was about 20 years ago, and it was for the sheer enjoyment of pushing the paint around the what's the word,
Canvas?
The canvas, yeah, pushing the paint around the canvas. It was just the sheer enjoyment of that. And I didn't really care what I produced. And that was a small snippet in time back then. And then I kind of made up this big story of, oh, I couldn't possibly do that again.
So the possibilities are opening up, just as, to me, this is the beauty of creating daily or creating in general, whether it's daily or, we're always creating daily. It just doesn't look like what we think it needs to look like. So we don't classify it as creating. But when we do start playing with our art again without a lot on it, all of a sudden we realize, oh, this is how it is in anything I try. I could go back to a painting now and just to see what happens, just to see what it feels like. And there's for me, like this inspiration or I'm so excited and curious about what that might look like. Or just how it feels, more so than how, when I see a piece of artwork or several pieces of artwork that inspire me, it's usually because there's a feeling of movement and like the artist's hand in it, or I can see myself moving with it in some way. So I don't know, that comes from just, seeing a lot of things and trying a lot of things. And not having a whole lot on what we do. We just do it for the fun of it, like you did with playing with the children's stuff and making costumes. And your monster, I just want to say that I can't explain to you the awesomeness of it, okay?
Well, the monster.
Yes, because you didn't, the joy of it is that you didn't have an idea of where you're going. It happened. Then in hindsight, you looked at it and said, oh, that isn't right. The perfectionist filter came on, and so you weren't even able to see it for what it truly was. And you joined with your husband in that, and everybody had a good time proving your point. And then you show it to somebody else like me who has a much wider view of what is amazing, maybe not. But it really spoke to me. So that's the thing I want to encourage people around. Sharing, particularly in the group, it's a very safe place to share. No one's there to critique. No one's there to judge. We're all there to celebrate. So, and you'd be surprised at you'll be amazed at how many people enjoy what you do when you think it's the worst thing ever.
It's very funny that you said about going back and doing a piece, looking at another piece of art that you've done before and what could you add to it, or looking at it again, because when I turned it over to show it to you on this video, I suddenly thought, oh, I wonder what it would look like if I went around the edges with a black pen. And it was really interesting just to notice that thought come into my head, because I thought, gosh, maybe it's not so bad after all, and it's that just suddenly thought changes about it.
Right.
And then, it might be interesting to go back with a black pen and just sort of outline some bits to see what it would look like, and just to play with that. So it's really interesting that you said that, and make the mouse black. And I can see some little, I'm looking down at it here, thinking I can do some little details.
So it's like it's opened up this whole other sense of possibility.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So that's really interesting that you said that, because it definitely mirrored my experience as well. Yeah.
So once you're the perfectionist and judgment thoughts pass, then there's an openness to seeing what else. And then all this new stuff starts coming in around what a moment ago you couldn't stand.
Yes.
It's incredible the way it works.
It is incredible. Yeah. And I'm kind of looking forward to doing it as well, which is interesting.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for meeting today, Sheena. And I look forward to everything else you're going to be playing with within this group and in life with your creativity. and we'll have another conversation sometime.
Yeah, that'd be lovely, Terry. Thank you ever so much.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.